What's up, Sean? Sean is in the house. What's up, Sean?
What's up, Jason? Thanks for having me on again, bro. I always appreciate it. So much fun talking football.
Amen, man. We're here. We're diving in. We're going to talk about a lot of things, man. So that is what is going to go on here on a Saturday. Basically, is we're going to talk about this week of free agency and how the Steelers have handled everything going on, and could they have done something better? Have they done enough? Where they have made some moves here, where they have filled some holes, perhaps, and what they're going to be able to do moving forward here in the 2025 draft period, where they should go maybe in the first two picks. We know they don't have a second round pick right now, but that could change also. So this is all hypothetical there when we try to make those types of picks for the first two rounds. So we're going to talk about that kind of stuff, guys. So make sure if you're not watching now, you can watch later. Put your comments, questions, and concerns inside of the live chat as we are going to dive in here today. We'll see how this all goes. We'll see. Maybe it'll be a slow Saturday and we'll be able to answer a lot more of the chat comments and questions. So, what's up, Daniel? Warming in the house. But we're going to dive in here, guys, again, a little bit a little bit earlier than we normally jump on. So, but we're about an hour ahead. So, we'll see how it all rolls. What's up, Don Time? Good to
What's up,
see you
guys?
guys. But Sean, so far, initial gut check here as we are into this free agency period, and you saw what the Steelers did. They were able to make a trade. They were able to go out and get a couple players here and there. Uh, Eccles at cornerback, Darius Slay at cornerback, different things like that. They were able to get a few things done here. But the biggest one being DK Metcalf. I thought that was going to be done last year, but that didn't happen. But anyway, what'd you think about all that and what the Steelers did, man?
I think it's good that they're making early moves. It shows that they really want to make some changes early on, and maybe they learned a little something from last year, kind of dragging their feet. But I'm glad they brought somebody in to help out with the cornerbacks. Darius Slay, he might be getting up there in age a little bit, but the guy's still got some gas left in the tank. And, you know, I like the way he plays football, and it's really, really awesome to see DK come to Pittsburgh. I'm probably most excited for that move right now. I'm super happy with that.
Yeah, man. Big DK, man. What do you think about the money, man? 150, 5 years, 30 some million a year. It ends up being around 30 with everything, but or 33, something like that. But what do you think about that money, bro? What do you think? Too much, too little? What's your thoughts on that contract?
Think it's a little steep, but at the same time, they had to make some kind of a move to open the offense up, to bring in somebody on the other side from George Pickens to really open things up for Fryermuth and anybody else. Like now they can't really just zero in and take away like a major factor of our offense. We got factors on both sides now and in the middle, and I think this is really going to open things up a lot more, and hopefully it just pays off. I'm really excited to see how this pans out.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Me too. I thought it was a decent deal. I thought like 2 years from now, when DK's really still in the prime of his career. I mean, the guy's 27 years old. That money's not going to look very large considering what these contracts do each and every year as they go up and up and up. Jester prods. Should we trade to get a second round pick to get maybe a good tackle to replace Dan Moore to help Rodgers get time because he has absolutely no mobility? Well, Rodgers isn't on the team, so that's something that is kind of hypothetically thinking. But do you have anybody, Sean, on this roster? Do you think George Pickens gives you enough um, firepower in a trade to get a second round pick? Or do you think they really don't have that kind of a piece to acquire a second round pick? And would you go after a tackle, or do you think you have enough in there? I know that's a lot in that question, but first and foremost, do the Steelers have a piece that can give you a second round pick? And would you go after a tackle, or do you got enough confidence in Broderick Jones heading into year three?
I would like to see him stick with Broderick Jones and give him a third, chance, basically year three, to go out there and continue to develop. I do think that George Pickens does have enough talent to bring in a second round draft pick, but I prefer that they keep Pickens and we have that dual threat in the wide receiver room.
Yeah, I don't want to see him go back to just having one target there. I know you got guys like Calvin and things like that. I think DK Metcalf's a far better receiver than George Pickens in terms of the presence that he brings to the football field, the work ethic, the down in, down out presence that he has out there each and every series for an offense. George Pickens hasn't developed into that player. People may argue that. People may say, oh, hey, uh, George is that guy. He's got that athletic ability. Absolutely. He's got that talent, but he doesn't utilize it every down. He hasn't been able to mature enough as a player to be able to provide that for an offense. And it shows week in and week out with George Pickens. But you want to have that 1-2 punch, Sean, definitely. You want to have that 1-2-3 punch, in my opinion. And it was sad to see Cooper Kupp go over to Seattle, but the guy wanted to stay on the West Coast. And I saw articles saying the Steelers failed. They didn't get Cooper Kupp. The guy didn't want to play on the East Coast, bro. Like, that's not a failure on the Pittsburgh Steelers part. But we're going to talk. What's up, Steve? I'll get to your comment in a second, buddy. Good to see you. But I want to talk about this, Sean, because we're on this failure thing right now. It just popped into my head whenever we were talking receivers. When you look at the Steelers team as a whole right now, and you look at the quarterback that signed, Mason Rudolph, and you look at what they let go, Justin Fields, let him go for an overpay, which I wouldn't have paid him that either. Sorry, I would have let him go, and we talked about that on the show. But yet they've yet to sign anybody of significance out of the old men. So what do you think here? Have the Steelers failed this offseason in the quarterback department?
I mean, I don't think so, but yet we don't know yet, and we won't know until the season gets going. We got to see how these guys, what they bring in as a whole, and then how they can take it out onto the field and utilize everything this coming up season. Until that happens, we're not going to know. We can speculate. And as far as speculation, no, I don't see any failure right now. I wasn't upset when Justin Fields left to go to the Jets. If he wants to take the bag, go for it. Chase the bag. It's business. But, if I had that decision, if I was in his shoes, I would have stayed in Pittsburgh and taken that bag and tried to develop into a legacy and have a better franchise to pay for and with a lot of tools around you to utilize.
No, I agree. I think he made the wrong move there. I think he's going to go to the graveyard of quarterbacks with the New York Jets, and now he finds himself in a way harder situation, man. In my opinion, the roster not as good. Yeah, it's just not as good. Point blank, to put it simple. And that's what Steve said. Thank you, Steve. We always like to have you here listening. Also, he says always a pleasure to listen to you guys. All these moves the Steelers have made are fine, but what about that quarterback position? And I think Mason Rudolph, Sean, can get it done. He went 4-1 with the Pittsburgh Steelers in his final 5 games, had the Steelers within 7 points in Buffalo in a game they had no business even being in. The injuries were horrible all across the board throughout that season. It just had made that season become very difficult to deal with, but they were able to navigate it. They were somewhat healthy when they got into Buffalo, but still had key players sitting the sidelines. Mason was able to overcome a bunch of fumbles, a bunch of
Yeah.
bullshit by the team as a whole. But yet Mason was able to have that team within 7 points. I liked what Mason did, and I am on the side of Mason's never got a real shot, man. That's just
I
my opinion. I think he's always had to look over his shoulder. What about you?
I agree with you, man. I mean, he really. I didn't like the way he was treated in Pittsburgh, and then the way they got rid of him after he stepped up. He remained humble, and he really played his heart out there on the field. And I really like seeing a guy like Mason who could stand in the pocket and fire the ball the way he did. Remember when he came into the game? I think it was against Cincinnati, and he hit Pickens across the middle,
Yeah,
and
first play.
yeah, and the way he just threw that ball I mean, it was zipping across the field and just hit him right in the numbers, and he took it to the house, I think, or it was a big gain. I just
No,
remember
it
coming
was
off
all
the
the way.
couch. Yeah, I remember coming off the couch and just saying, "That's what I'm talking about. That's what we need at quarterback." And
Mm.
he did that early, and imagine what he can do with a couple of years under his belt.
Yeah, and that throw there, I think a lot of people discount. They just say, "Oh, it is what it is." Like, yeah, he made a decent throw. That was a high level of vision of the field, high level of anticipation, high level throw, a big time throw with real zip and accuracy. And that throw right there really got him moving, man. He needed that for his confidence, and you saw that exhibited throughout the football game. And here's the thing, man. He really had limited weapons on that offense during that time, in my opinion, with the way they were incorporating everybody. I think there was players that they could have utilized, but the season just had not transpired to the way that they were utilizing Pat Fryermuth, or they were utilizing all their key players. They just weren't. They weren't doing it. But however, he was able to overcome and definitely keep this Steelers team competitive, and I think he can do so moving forward. Daniel Warman says, I was looking at the roster, and the Steelers to me are the best in the AFC North. My Bengals are a close second. Oh, well, that's encouraging that you guys are actually seeing some of this stuff. Maybe I'm not as crazy as I think. Jester Prods, what should we do about D line? Because Cam Hayward is old. Ogunjobi is gone. Maybe we get somebody in the third. Um, yeah, Sean thinks that there's a player that he may see in the third that could be a defensive lineman. There's a guy in the first round, Sean, that I want to talk about, and this will be my pick, and I'll give it away early, but we'll do this a little later in the show. Or perhaps we could even do it now, Sean. As the draft's approaching, the Steelers have that first round pick, and they're picking 21 there, and then they'll pick again in the third round. No second round pick right now as it stands. That's barring any draft day trades or any trades from right now. I kind of like a guy out of Michigan, Kenneth Grant. I think he is a real statement, Sean, if you ask me in the first round. If you are the Steelers and you got gouged last year, especially over those last 5 games, you got gouged in a big, big way in the run game. You weren't able to stop the run. You weren't able to do anything in terms of really putting pressure up the middle uh, through that base defensive front. And I think Kenneth Grant is a big body guy that can really do that. Do you think, Sean, that the Steelers got to take somebody in the first round, or can they wait to the third round? In your eyes,
In my eyes, I think they can wait till the third round. I feel like there's other positions that may be more important to have, people like more depth on. I don't know if you want to get into that right now or not, but
yeah, go ahead.
okay, yeah. So I think in the first round they got to go for a quarterback, and the real possibility of any quarterbacks, as we've all been discussing on your show and you've been mentioning, is Jackson Dart, and that's who I would pick. I hope they go for a guy like Jackson Dart who he can anticipate the throw. He's got a nice touch, and he's got good arm strength, and he's pretty mobile. He's not like Lamar Jackson or any of these other guys who can rely on their legs, but he has the talent to get and move the chains. He can run out of the pocket. He has great awareness in the pocket. When the pocket's collapsing, he can get out and run and try to move the chains, maybe extend the play a little bit. I like Jackson Dart in the first round, the 21st pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I feel like Jackson Dart steps up into the pocket well, that I think is a little discounted, because in college sometimes you may not be as pressured at, when you're playing for a team like he was. Ole Miss at the time, they were doing pretty good. I think they had reached up to, like, number 6 or something, 5, whatever. I don't watch college enough to know. But they were ranked fairly high inside of the top 5 at one point. I do know that for sure. And I felt like he has that ability, Sean, to step up in the pocket, not only step up, but be able to manipulate it side to side and back and forth, which gives a little bit more time, which buys a little time and alleviates a little bit of pressure off of that offensive line, because they know they don't have to be perfect, that they can slide their block to wherever they got to take them. And that's big, Sean, for an offensive lineman. You don't want to have to say, oh my God, I got to block this guy to the right. It has to be done. I have to do it this way. No. If that guy takes a step inside, take him in,
Yeah.
follow him, but put that pressure on him, Sean. That's where offensive linemen, I think, get a little bit flustered, where they have to be so precise. No, if you have a guy like Jackson Dart, or you have a guy that can move and manipulate the pocket a little bit, their vision is good enough that they'll understand, and they'll be able to step up and able to slide and still be able to throw the ball with great accuracy and force and zip. That's what you're looking for. And I think what you're saying there, Jackson Dart does possess those qualities. Now, here's the thing, Sean. Is Jackson Dart going to even be available at 25 or 21? or is he a guy that could potentially slide to the second round?
I I have been reading that he could slide, and I've also I've been reading like kind of multiple things about him. I heard that he may go up. He could be taken in the first round, but it seems to be like they're expecting him more like a second to a third round pick, and
Yeah,
so that's why I just feel comfortable with thinking, man, that's a guy that the Steelers really should have in their target, to really go for a guy like Jackson Dart. And he really does have what it takes to make our offensive line a little bit more comfortable as they go out and try to do their job. Like you're saying, that's a great point you brought up. They know
no
that if
doubt.
if they have if they miss a block, they don't have to worry about, oh well, you know what, the play's over, because he may run out and extend the play, and that could turn into a big positive gain, and they can just not worry about it, have a short memory, go back out there and get to the next play, and hopefully execute a good block. So
No
yeah, I
doubt,
like the
man.
way he fits into the system, bro.
No doubt. Mark Malone, what's up? Sleeping Lady, what's up? John Broadway, what's up, guys? Good to see you in the chat. We'll get to all your comments here in 1 second. But we're talking right now where the Steelers need to be in the first two picks of their draft here in 2025. Again, they have a first and a third. That's how it sits right now, guys. And this is all hypothetical because guess what? Things could change and change in a hurry. So don't forget to hit that like button, guys. I need you to double tap that screen. It's absolutely free. Send us out into that YouTube algorithm. And Sean and I are bringing you some content here on a Saturday, talking about free agency and what has been done so far with this football team and where they're going to be able to go, and what is going to hold them back or what could propel them into the future here. And also, right now, we're talking about these first two draft picks. My first round draft pick, I think the Steelers have to go with a real run stuffer. I think it shows a real commitment to that defense in terms of stopping the run, and that is Kenneth Grant. If Kenneth Grant is available at 21, you pull the trigger, you take him, you got to, because I think, Sean, in the third round, I think they're going to be able to get Tyler Shuck out of Louisville. I think he's a big body guy, 6'5", I believe. Yes, he has some injury concerns. He's a little bit older, but I think he's a guy that could be an excellent precision pocket passer, a guy that could really get it done. And I think is going to really shine at the NFL level. And I think he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks. I know he's older and I understand all the problems with him, but I still think that he's going to be able to really, really succeed once he gets his feet wet at the NFL level, just because of his age and his maturity and the way he's going to be able to step in and still be able to do the things necessary in terms of being mobile enough and having the arm good enough to get it done. And I think he'll be a real success here at the NFL level. So I like Tyler Shuck in the third round. I think that's where they get their quarterback. I think that first round is the defensive tackle, but we're kind of flip flopped here. You're talking Jackson Dart if he's available at 21. You're pulling the trigger there. But what do you think about that third round? Is that where they get that run stuffer, Sean? Is that where they get that defensive line?
Yeah, I think that's what I would do. And what I hope that the Steelers do. That's what I have for my third round pick. The 83rd pick in the third round, Ohio State defensive tackle Ty Hamilton. The guy's 6'3", 295 pounds, and he's a real good run stuffer. He can plug a hole, and not only that, he can get out and make a tackle if he has to. The guy's pretty dang good, and the possibility of him actually being available in the third round is pretty high. So the chances of getting a guy like that it's a real true possibility.
Yeah, I don't mind that pick, man, at all. I think that would be a solid pick also. So there you go, guys. There's our first two picks in those two rounds that are going to be available. What's up, American Militia? Miss Pittsburgh in the house. Nathan McDonald. We're cooked. We might as well resign Russ, or we're going 2-15. Sean, how this team sits right now, do you see a 2-15 season under Mason Rudolph and the weapons he has at his disposal currently? If no other changes are made right now, can you see a 2-15 ball club, or do you see something better, or maybe even worse?
The Steelers are not going to go 2-15. They're definitely going to get more wins than two. We're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, guys. They've never finished like that. I don't think ever. Like, come on,
They
man.
have way back.
Maybe in
They've
the
finished
30s.
bad. I don't know about two, Sean. I don't know about that. I don't
Yeah.
have all the stats.
No, but I mean, even if they were to bring in an old guy like Russ again, or even Justin Fields, or Aaron Rodgers, or any of these guys, even Kenny Pickett, they're going to do more than 2 wins. With Mason Rudolph coming in, dude, I see him still being at least a 10-win team. And I'm not saying that they're going to go all the way or they're going to do a lot of damage yet because we don't know yet. We got to see all the pieces they bring in the offseason. But, dude, this is a solid team right now. We got a lot of players that are very competent, and they're going to go out there and they're going to bust their ass. And, man, I just think that's crazy talk when people are trying to write the season off already before the draft even gets here.
Yeah, I got to give Nathan McDonald a flag on the play. Nathan, you get a flag there. 2-15, I think, is a heavy, heavy reach. And again, Sean, I understand the fans here, man. I understand their frustration, Sean. We feel it also. We talk about this football team all the time. We talk back and forth, just you and I, off of the show about this football team. We understand the frustrations. We understand why people can feel this way. But we have to be realistic about it also. And I had talked earlier in the week, and this is the first time that we've had you on the show since I talked about that. And are the Pittsburgh Steelers being the Pittsburgh Steelers, Sean? Or do they look like groveling fucking idiots right now with the way they are trying to panhandle or ponder, or, well, never mind, sorry, tongue tied. The way they are trying to court a guy like Aaron Rodgers or one of these older quarterbacks. Do they start to look foolish, Sean? Do they start to look like some of these idiotic franchises throughout the NFL that perpetually fucking suck?
Yeah, I don't like it, and it doesn't feel very Pittsburgh Steelers like to me. I feel like they're much better than that. We don't need Aaron Rodgers. That's what I think. I don't think we need an old guy like him that comes in there with a nasty, bad attitude. I just don't like the way he comes in there and changes the morale of a locker room. He gets people fired. It's been shown, and maybe he doesn't. He's not 100%, at fault for people getting fired, but he doesn't help. He comes in there and he likes to point fingers at other people, and I just don't like that. I don't like the ayahuasca trips. I don't like any of this crap that he pulls. He's holding teams hostages. He's not communicating. He just kind of makes everybody wonder till the last minute. I'm just not a fan of the whole Aaron Rodgers thing at all. And I wish the Steelers wouldn't waste their time with a guy like that. And when they need to really focus in on a young, talented player that they can help develop into somebody that can be a future potential, a quarterback that's going to be around for a long time. Mason Rudolph is back. He can help. He's not just a rookie. He's been in the NFL for years. He's sat behind Big Ben Roethlisberger. He has great, work ethics. Why not bring in a young guy to learn and pick up these blue collar type work mentalities from a guy like Mason?
Hey man, I'm down for it, man. It's just that's what bothers me. Dennis Zhu, I think, or Ja. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. He's a Steelers fan from Melbourne, Australia. Says he loves the show, but he is concerned about that quarterback position. Are we ending up with Jameis Winston? I don't think so, man. I don't think so, but you never know, man. I mean, if it worked, it worked. Jameis Winston's not a bad number two. But that's one of those things that's going to be a real coin flip, and you're just going to have to see how this all transpires and who's left. Mason or Winston will be one of the latter guys picked up here throughout this offseason period, man. But again, guys, we were talking about that all week, so we're going to continue to dive into that. What's up, Doug P says Mason kind of gives me Bubby Brister vibes. I don't know if I'd go there. I like Bubby Brister. Bubby Brister had a fucking rocket arm, bro. But yeah, we'll continue diving into all this, guys. I need you to first hit the shit out of that like button for us here on Steel City Live. I'm Jason, that's Sean. We are here talking football each and every day. So thank you for joining us again. It's absolutely free to double tap that screen. You can hit three little white dots up in the right hand corner of your screen. Hit that like button there. But that's the best way to support the show is hitting that like button. Also, super chats are always available. We try to take as many comments as we possibly can. But hey, if you want your comment instantly read, throw that super chat in there. Downtown John Broadway says, with Rudolph back, start him and have him come in early to work on our offensive plays to get us ready. That's the thing, Sean. And I don't think a lot of people and a lot of fans take into consideration the tremendous amounts of work that it takes to be super, that it takes to win a title in this league. And it does take things like that extra film study, extra time at the facility, staying late, coming in early, coming in before OTAs and mini camps and things like that. You necessarily may not be able to meet as a team, but you're able to get out there and work with your fellas. You're able to get in that room and study and be really diligent at making sure you're well prepared for every single practice. You got to treat every practice like it's the Super Bowl, man. That's how you got to treat it. But do you get that vibe from this Steelers team? Do you start to see it now come together? Are you liking how this is all being put together? And do you think the Steelers can overcome some of the negativity inside of the media and all those things and really come together as a group? Or do you think this Aaron Rodgers drama, this quarterback drama is going to lead into the season and really cause a major disruption here in 2025?
Think Aaron Rodgers is a distraction. He is a disruption, and that they shouldn't even be thinking about this guy right now while he's out walking on his beach every single day and not communicating or getting a hold of anybody and showing any interest at all with Pittsburgh. That's why if he's not interested, the Steelers shouldn't be either. Move on and let's get a good piece to bring in to develop. You know, uh,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know what to say about Aaron Rodgers other than just we got to scratch that guy. He's got to be erased. We don't want him. I don't want him. I don't want him in Pittsburgh.
What
He's a
makes
distraction.
people think, Sean? What makes people think that him coming from a team that had 5 wins over 2 seasons? I understand he was injured with the Achilles, but what makes people think all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers makes this team that much better than Mason Rudolph does?
Man,
I don't understand it. Would Aaron Rodgers probably win 5 games with the Steelers? Yeah, I think he would win 9, 10 games with the Steelers. But are you okay with that, Sean? Is that what you're looking for? Or do you think going with Mason Rudolph, going in the draft, trying to find some young guys, is that the plan that needs executed here?
absolutely. You got to go with youth. Aaron Rodgers is at the end of his career trying to just maybe cement a little bit more to his legacy. The guy shows he's not the greatest team player anyways. We need to get these young guys in there who are motivated to make something of themselves. And not only that, Aaron Rodgers, like I said, he's how many years does he have left? One, two, maybe.
Maybe
We need.
none.
I mean, shit. We got Mason Rudolph, who we can get to pennies on the dollar, and he's out, and he showed that he could be a top 5 quarterback for 5 weeks in a row when he was last time he played for Pittsburgh. I
Amen,
feel
man.
we got to roll with that. We got to roll with it and build something.
Amen, man. Sleeping Lady says Pickens and Fryermuth fumbled the great play opportunities Mason Rudolph created. Yeah, that was in the playoff game in Buffalo. Absolutely, those plays go a little bit differently. Maybe that game's a little bit different. You just don't know. Jester Prods. Imagine we had the team we have now with Big Ben playing QB. Yeah, I thought during the Killer B era they had a little bit of a little bit lesser defense, but for the highest paid defense last year, Sean, I wasn't greatly impressed. Let's switch gears real quick to the defense, Sean. Guys, we will get to as many chat questions as we possibly can. Again, super chats are open if you want your chat question read instantly. But we will get to everybody. I truly promise. I value that from you guys. Sean does also. But make sure you're double tapping that screen. We need those likes to start going up. Let's hit the shit out of that like button and we'll stream as long as we can. Even if Sean has to go, I may stay on just a little bit longer. But Sean, let's switch gears to that defensive side of the football. And I want to talk about the defensive backs. Eccles from the Jets, a guy that has 3 career interceptions, can play inside out. You add Darius Slay, a guy that's going to play on the outside predominantly, 31 years old. They give him $10 million for 1 season. A guy that has been a superstar in this league, a real pro. And with those 2 additions, was that enough for the Steelers here, considering they got Joey Porter Jr.? They have Corey Trice. If he can ever stay healthy, I think they have real high hopes in him. I think Beanie Bishop is going to take a big step in 2025. Then you added Deshaun Elliott, who told Aaron Rodgers to keep his ass at the care home already this offseason. Minka Fitzpatrick's still available to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Perhaps maybe he's a trade piece that you could get a second rounder out of. But how do you feel about this secondary with the additions of Eccles and Darius Slay? And how do you feel after this week of free agency about that unit as a whole? And are they going to be able to do some big things, some special things in 2025?
I like what they've done so far, but I don't feel like it's enough. These are good pieces that's going to come in and maybe help a little bit in certain areas, but there is a big problem with stopping the run right now in Pittsburgh. I feel it's so important to get that defensive line beefed up and get somebody ready to take over from when Cam Hayward retires, because we're not far from it. So we got to get that piece in line to make me feel a little bit more comfortable with that. But as far as like, we got more help on the other side of the ball from, Corey Trice, you're right. He's been very injury prone, and I hope we can see a lot more production from him and him staying healthy. But Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr., maybe Mika Fitzpatrick, who knows how they're going to utilize him. That's a pretty good piece bringing in Slay. I feel a little bit better about shutting down a little bit more of the passing game. But the run stuffing is very suspect to me, and I'm not comfortable right now. There's got to be more.
Are you worrying about the age of Darius Slay? That's the real question in my eyes. I know 31 isn't tremendously old, but in cornerback speak, I feel like it's a little bit older. You're on more of the back end of your career than you have, on the beginning part. Definitely, you're looking down the barrel of being done. Are you really concerned about that?
I'm a little concerned for the age, yeah. And that's why I feel like 10 million a year is a little too much. And maybe if he was a younger superstar, a ball hawking guy, but he's kind of slowed down a little bit, I imagine, but he's still got some gas left in the tank. He showed that last year when he played in Philadelphia. So,
Yeah.
it's a step up from last year, which is good. But like you say, we got to have more pieces. We got to have more depth. And Corey Trice needs to really stay healthy so we can have that depth.
Absolutely, man. I agree. Corey Trice, I think they have a lot of high hopes in him. Daniel Warman says, one of my good friends is a former New York Jet. He said the Jets are just as bad as Cleveland. The only difference is their uniform. Oh, wow, man. That's awesome, Daniel. I'm glad. That's pretty damn cool to have that kind of insight. Sean, I don't know if I ever told anybody this. I don't know if I ever even said it on on the show. But my dad was friends with Russ Grimm, Steelers coach, also a Hall of Fame type player for the Washington Redskins at the time, a Super Bowl winner. So yeah, I got a little connection there with that. So yeah, that was pretty cool. But it's always neat to know these people. Also, a guy that went to my church growing up. He played for the Rams, and he had a ring. I don't know. He played for Notre Dame, and then he played for the Rams. I don't know. I was so little. I don't remember if it was any type of like championship ring or anything. I don't remember. But he always had this big like football ring on, and I don't know what it was. I don't think it was a Super Bowl. It might have been from college or something. But yeah, it was pretty damn cool, man, to know play people like that. But that's a pretty good comparison, Daniel. Zoc Curry, fellas, how you doing? Doing? Warm welcome to you, Sean. What's up?
Thanks, brother.
Uh,
Appreciate you.
Mark Malone, I'd want to trade back if they're looking at Dart slash Howard. Yeah, that's the thing too, Sean. Could the Steelers move back from 21 in the first round? Mark brings up a good point. If Genty is there, take him at 21. I don't think Genty will be there. I think Genty goes within the top 10. That's just my opinion with what I'm reading right now. I think that he will be selected before the top 10 picks are over. But if you're the Steelers, do you consider trading back, Sean? Perhaps to the last couple picks or wherever you got to be, but do you consider trading back to perhaps pick up some more extra value inside of this 2025 draft, knowing the defensive front group in this draft is very deep, knowing that there's a lot of tremendous cornerbacks out there that you can find deeper in this draft? Also, I think that there's some good quarterback options that perhaps don't go early in the draft.
I don't think it's a horrible idea. I really don't. I think that you can get a lot of positive out of that too, trading back, and bringing in more depth. But the fact that we don't have a second round pick, that makes it a little bit rough. So yeah, I can see some positive in that. I'm gonna have to agree. Yeah, I think trading back could actually bring a lot of value. I really do.
Yeah, depending on what pick you get. Usually, when you move back in the second or in the first round and you let people leapfrog, you usually can get some substantial high value draft capital for that. So that's the thing. Za says, what's the positive of moving back? I get moving ahead. Za, the positive in moving back is that you could potentially recoup some of the draft capital that you may have traded off during the offseason, before the draft, pre-draft, or be able to gather another pick somewhere to where you could pick back to back, whatever have you. You create a lot of opportunities to be able to just get an extra guy at a higher value than maybe you were going to be able to get there originally. So if you know the team that's trying to trade with you, Sean, you know they're coming up to take a lineman or a guard, a tackle, or they're coming up to take a wide receiver or somebody like that. You know they're not coming to take your guy. You're willing to take that step back, you know? You're willing to take that gamble that your guy's still going to be there in the first round and you're going to be able to gain some other picks. So here's my question, Sean. If a team would come to you and say, hey, we're in the top 15 picks, we're interested in trading back, would you give a pick swap in the first round and potentially maybe gain another third, or man, a really good price tag, something else to where you're still getting to move up, but yet you're going to trade one of your big players away, a George Pickens, a Minka Fitzpatrick? Would you do that? Would you trade one of your big players on draft day to move up farther in the draft and to gain another draft position somewhere in the second day picks? Would you be interested in doing that? Would you be willing to lose a Minka or a George in that instance?
I would. I don't know about George, but I would be willing to give up maybe like a Mika Fitzpatrick, somebody who's getting kind of old, somebody who hasn't made any big plays. He's made a few plays, but nothing like crazy. No big splash plays for Mika and how long? Um,
2 years.
yeah. So I mean, Mika Fitzpatrick, if he's worth anything, I would consider him. But we need George Pickens. We need DK Metcalf. We need these weapons on offense to help whatever quarterback is going to be coming in and starting for us. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, no doubt, man. You gotta do something. And I think this, Sean, here's my biggest thing. If you know you're gonna lose value on some of these players, that they're just gonna end up sucking value from you, why not make them turn into value now while you have the opportunity? Because I think you can recover from some of this uh, with good draft picks, with maybe a trade here or a good free agent pickup, perhaps something. I think you can figure it out. And again, Minka Fitzpatrick, it's been like 2.5 years. He has like one interception in that time. I love Minka Fitzpatrick. He makes a lot of tackles, people say, Sean. But that's why. Because the Steelers have a shitty run defense and he's making tackles from the safety position a lot of times. That's not necessarily a good thing for your fucking safety to be up there in the top three of the tackling charts, you know? I
Yeah.
think that that's fucking crazy, Sean. And people to applaud that. That's one example there, Sean, of this league, and the fans are just so stat driven that they don't look at really what some of those stats really honestly mean. I'm not saying all stats are bad. I'm not, because a lot of stats are important. But if your fucking safety is making tons and tons of tackles, there's a major fucking issue on your defense. Do you not agree with that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, why are they catching the ball so much? As a safety, if you're not making picks, then you should be at least up in the air and swatting the ball out of their hands, causing turnovers, doing something other than making a tackle. Anybody can, like, that has any kind of like football knowledge at all can go out there and make a tackle. Like, come on. The quarterback had time to step back in the pocket, find an open receiver, connect. The receiver's running down the field, moving the chains, and you made a tackle. That's nothing to applaud to me. That means get
No.
your ass back in the huddle and get ready and try to make a play on the next play. Not let's go out there and make another tackle while they march down the field on an 8-minute drive and put 7 points on the fucking board.
No doubt. Fred Dog 420, we need offensive line so our quarterbacks aren't on their ass every game. Build in the
Yep.
trenches. It all happens there. You bully other teams around in the trenches. That's how you win. Yeah, we've said that that's the philosophy for a long time, man. No doubt about it. That's what we preach here at the channel. That's our kind of MO. Trenches first, everything else second. But again, Sean, I need to know what you think of this Steelers offensive line. Are you comfortable with Broderick Jones? Or are you comfortable with what they've done over the last several seasons and gaining a lot of high value picks, in my opinion? And I think the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line is about to blossom. And I don't think a lot of fans realize that it takes 2-3 years for an offensive line playing together to really truly hit their stride. Are you comfortable with where the Steelers are offensively in terms of the line? We know what we feel about the defensive front. We feel like they can play. They just need depth and they need to add some young talent. But that offensive line, that's where we're really getting at here with Fred's comment. Are you comfortable with it right now?
I am. I'm actually comfortable with what we have for the offensive line. I feel like the problem is more or less the schematics, the mixing it up a little bit more and keeping defenses guessing. They know that Pittsburgh's going to come out there and run the ball, and they've been stacking the box, and they continue to hand the ball to Najee and send them up the middle. They didn't ever try to, like mix it up on them and
Pitch.
utilize, yeah, the pitch to Patterson. We got some more weapons on the offense now. We got, DK Metcalf who came in, and with Pat Fryermuth and George, bro, they gotta have to respect the passing game a little bit more this season. They have to. The moves is already made. If they don't, they're gonna pay for it. Unless we have some dumbass decision making going on saying, don't utilize the receivers, let's just keep running the ball up the middle over and over again, and eventually we might get a big play. No, you gotta be more creative. That's where I feel like the problem is. We need more creativity with our offensive playing calls.
Yeah, and being able to have teams respect all phases of your offense, the run, the pass, the action game. And guys, there's more than just a play action, a run action. There's a lot that goes into the action game with an offense. And when you have defenses have to start to respect that, Sean, I think that will show in the offensive system or the offensive line's play. They'll be able to start to show a little bit more of what they can do because they're not getting just bullied around because defenses don't have to guess what you were doing. You were pitching the ball left, pitching the ball right, Najee up the middle, Najee left, right, whatever. It was very predictable. Russell Wilson, yes, he put the Steelers in a lot of compromising second and long, third and long situations, which caused the Steelers to really be limited on their play calls and things of that nature. But that's neither here nor there. That's a longer discussion to have. But again, I think the Steelers' offensive line will be just fine. And when other teams have to respect you in all phases of your offense, I think it's definitely going to be something that will help that group and show a lot of fans how good they really are. Here's my question, Sean. Say Mason Rudolph is the starter, or perhaps Aaron Rodgers is the starter. Neither guy really mobile at all. They're more of a pocket type passer, no doubt about it. Can you see this tight end room with Darnell Washington, Pat Fryermuth, Connor Hayward, whoever may be in that room this year? Um, can you see that room really start to be incorporated into this pass game in a big, big way, especially with the lack of mobility from your quarterback position?
I do. I feel like they can actually do something with it, and that's only because, like I was saying, we have more weapons now. And with that being said, we have more chances for somebody being open. We just got to make sure that we have a quarterback that's capable of going through a couple of reads each play, not just looking down your read, your option A. If he's not open, hitting your check down. We can't do that. We got to have somebody to go through the reads. And yes, I understand that means we have to have the offensive line protecting. So that's another reason why I don't really want Aaron Rodgers. The guy isn't the best. He's not in his prime anymore. He's at the tail end of his career. Mason Rudolph, yeah, he may be a little bit of a statue in there, but at least he can fire the ball. And
He can hit those slants, those
he
drags, those things.
Yeah, and if you're doing these quick slants across the middle and you can fire the ball, you don't need more than 2 seconds. Big Ben showed it time and time again. You only need 1 to 2 seconds and you can hit a slant. So we
Fire
just
that
gotta
fucking
have
pigskin.
fire that damn thing. And that's what I want to see. I want to see more utilization across the middle of the field. And I think we have the tools to do that. And even big Darnell Washington showed he can go out there and catch the ball. That guy's a monster. And by the
Yeah,
way,
they
I want to
underutilized him, bro.
big time. And that's where I feel like, like I said, the schematics got to be improved. And I sure hope to God we see something different this year. Because if not, it's going to be a really long year once again with a lot of talent on the team, which tells us once again it's the coaching staff that is failing this franchise.
Yeah, it has to be laid at their feet sometime. You can only make so many excuses. Wave that terrible towel for Miss Pittsburgh, guys. We're going to continue to get into the chat here as much as we possibly can. Super chats are always open, but make sure you are hitting that like button for us here on Steel City Live. I'm Jason, that's Sean, and we are rocking and rolling here on a Saturday. Again, thank you guys for joining us a little bit earlier than we normally do. So I'll try to stream as long as I can. Sean, anytime you have to go, don't feel obligated, man. Just let me know, man. But I love to have you. So as long as you want to stay, you are definitely welcome to, because I'm going to try to stream a little bit longer. We'll see what we can do. Daniel Warman says the Steelers have a bad taste in their mouth because of the last 5 games. That makes them dangerous. Love you guys. Thank you, Daniel. We love you too, brother. Thank you so much. There's a big question, Sean. There's a big question mark in my head right now. After that 5 game skid last year, such a terrible way to end a fucking year, man, especially a year that you started out 10-3. And you totally fell flat on your face as an organization there to end the year, to end that 2024 season. Does that carry over to 2025? Is Mike Tomlin going to be able to get this ball club to be able to recover? Or do you think there's going to be enough turnover in the building that nobody's really going to give a shit or even remember it? Or do you think that this ball club's going to have a short memory and come out and use that as motivation not to be embarrassed?
I think for sure you got to have a short memory, and that goes in all sports. And if these guys have learned anything throughout their lives as they've built their way into the NFL, you all have to know that you have to have a short memory. And you got to come out on a brand new slate and just start all over again. This is a whole new year, and it's a whole new opportunity to go out there and make something of yourselves and make a good run for a good seat in the postseason, and not be one and done. So, me and anybody that's watched us, talk football before, you guys all know I'm an optimistic kind of guy. The glass is always half full. And I just don't have any kind of loser's mentality in me. I'm not going to be scoping around. Oh, man, here we go again. It's going to be another long season. Coach Tomlin's in the building. We're screwed. No, we're not. I don't believe that, not for 1 second. We've already brought in some new tools. It's going to be something different already. The defense has to respect our receivers now. Therefore, that might open up the run game a little bit more. If the run game's working, the passing game's going to open up more. The links all have to connect, and you're only as strong as your weakest link. And we got to start out on a new slate. Have that short memory, please, God.
Amen, bro. Amen. You got to have it. What's up, Colt Ruth? I see you, buddy. That's a kid that I coach on my football team. Good to see you, Colt. Hope you're enjoying no football right now, but it's about to start up. So get your butt in gear, big boy. We're ready to roll here.
What's
That's
up,
sorry,
Cole?
guys. That's one of my kids that I coach. What about cousin? That's from Dennis Jew. I think. I'm sorry. I know I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I'm gonna have to look up how to pronounce it right. Jeux. Sorry. But he says, what about Kirk Cousins? I think that would be a miserable thing, Sean. You don't go trade for an old guy that's going to cost you 100 and some million bucks to finish out that deal. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that would be a grave mistake. Are you willing to trade for one of these guys? People say Kirk Cousins. People say Milton from the Patriots. Are you willing to do any of these deals? In my personal opinion, I feel like every team in the NFL knows how desperate the Steelers are to find a different quarterback. For some reason, they're showing how desperate they are by begging some of these people to come. But do you think the Steelers would do something like that? And what do you think the cost would be?
And it's just too much. The price tag is too high. That would really kind of put you in a bad spot in other areas. I think they made a great move by bringing Mason back. And now they just need to make another great move and bring in some younger talent to learn from guys like Jake, from Mason, and whoever else may be in the building that's had a little bit of NFL experience. I just don't want to see a Kirk Cousins come into the building and cost the team $100 million. I don't like the way that makes me feel in here.
No doubt. Somebody else said Lincoln's at it's Coach Jason. Man, I must be getting all types of other kids. I only know one Lincoln, so that might be you, Lincoln. But, but anyway, guys, yeah, I agree, Sean. I think it could cost a lot, too much, man. And you don't put yourself into that position. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. What's up, Rod? Love Metcalf. Tomlin, not so much. Absolutely. Zach Curry, too bad we can't turn Darnell Washington into a wide receiver. Yeah,
Oh man.
yeah, he's a little too big for that, Sean. But man, I think you could really utilize that young man in the pass game. Man, I just think this, Sean. If you got a guy like that in the tight end room, like Darnell Washington, you add another big body guy like DK Metcalf that plays ultra physical. And if you do have George Pickens, that's naturally gonna open up a lot, Sean. Who do you double on this offense if it sits just the way it is? If they wheel out those guys that are big body guys, some of them tall, some of them tall and thick as shit and strong, who would you double?
Bro, that's the thing is if you have these guys out there that they have right now, if you double up on somebody, you're going to pay for it on the other side of the field. And And also, I like Darnell Washington at the tight
Me
end
too.
spot because let's all remember last year when Darius Slay, who's now a Steeler, got moved all the way through the backside of the end zone right up against the wall, and he was coming off that wall because Big Mount Washington had him pinned. Like, that's what we need, a big block like that to open up some run game and even take a defender off the field to open it so the next guy can go out and maybe make a big play. I love that stuff. And you know what? I'm also curious how that's going to play out this year with these guys now that they're teammates. Are they going to laugh together? Are they going to build chemistry? Which is another thing that leads me to another thing. Mason Rudolph has never really had a chance to go out there and build a bunch of chemistry with the first string starting offense. Is he going to have that option this year? And if he does and he builds all this, what kind of quarterback can he really turn into? Because we saw that spark. We saw him go out there and light up the NFL for weeks on end. I'm stoked. I want to see this team go out there, and the only thing that wipes the smile right off my face is the thought of the schematics. They got to make the right plays. They got to utilize the tools the right way. But, I kind of just went off on a tangent here. I'm on my soapbox now. But,
That's
bro,
all right.
you know, I'm sorry about that, but
That's
yeah,
all
we got
right.
to utilize our tools, man. Yeah, you can't double up one guy. You're going to pay for it in the end if the coaching staff's any good about identifying it and even having a quarterback that can go through his reads.
Amen, man. Doug P, what's up? Craig Werlo, what's up? Mark, we did a TD, Lindsay, Two Evil, Two Hope, American Militia. Good to see you guys. I'll get to some duck plucker. I'll get to chats as soon as I can here. We did Cole. Okay. Guys, make sure you're double tapping that screen for us here on Steel City Live. We need to get those likes up. For some reason, we're a little bit low on likes today, a little bit lower than we normally are. We're always chasing 100. So make sure you guys like it up for Sean and I. We truly appreciate that. What's up, Armand? Good to see you. Definitely a lot to talk about with this football team, man, and a lot going on so far with your Pittsburgh Steelers here in the offseason. What other moves do you think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to make here, Sean, pre-draft? Is it another quarterback? Anything? What do you think? Any type of move that the Pittsburgh Steelers may make from now until draft day, or any type of move you think that you could see coming down the pipe?
I might, I wouldn't be surprised if they made a move at the running back position. Somebody come in there and maybe take some snaps, with Jalen Warren. But we've already made a move on receiver. They've spoke with a couple of quarterbacks. I have to see it. It's going to be something on the offense. But then again, then Mika Fitzpatrick comes into my mind. They might make a move with him. Oh man, that's a tough one. So yeah, I guess the running back. What are they going to do with that? Are we set at the running back position right now?
Well, they got Kenneth Gainwell from the Eagles. You have Jalen Warren. I believe they're going to add somebody from the draft. That's where I think they go there. But the run game's going to be big, man. what do you think there, Sean? Do you think Najee Harris perhaps should have stayed, or are you happy that he went? He got $9.1 million for 1 year with the Los Angeles Chargers. What do you think about that? And do you think they have enough, or do they have to get somebody in the draft?
I'm actually kind of glad that they moved Najee and they got a pretty good ticket for him. The fact that they moved him tells me maybe they can go with a different offensive game plan. Maybe they're not going to be relying on Jalen Warren Najee Harris to go up the middle every 2 to 3 times every time they have the damn ball, every set of downs. Maybe that forces them to come up with a new game plan. Maybe they get a little bit more creative. I hope to see them get more creative, and because maybe that's what they felt like they had to do when you have a guy like Najee, a big wrecking ball of a running back who really can't break free from a tackle once they get hands on him. Yeah, he had pretty good stiff arm, but the guy just showed time and time again that he was average at best. 60 to 70 yards a game isn't that good. We need a guy that can go and hit you for 60, 70 yards at a time. Maybe break a tackle, make people miss. Jalen Warren's really good at that. So, I hope to see something like that. I think it was a good move getting, separating from Najee. I I don't know what to say other than that. I was glad to see him go.
Me too. I wouldn't have paid him $9.1 million. Sorry, he's not worth that. The guy's longest run as a Steeler, I believe, was 35 yards. He averaged less than 60 yards per game. In a league that they now play 17 games, per year, to average that and to literally celebrate these 1,000 yard seasons, nobody's ever done it. It just wasn't impressive. I mean, he was a solid player. He wasn't a bad person in the locker room. He was definitely very reliable, not hurt, always dependable. I'm not saying Najee Harris was all bad, Sean, but he wasn't the guy, that elite game changer. He just wasn't that. And I agree. I definitely think that they could do better, and we'll see what happens. But Jalen Warren, I believe, needs some help. I think he needs to be a guy that gets 20, 21 carries a game. And I believe that you see other guys pick up the slack, run the ball 30 times a game, but mix it up a little bit. Get guys that fit that zone run scheme a little bit better. Mark Malone says, I think Mason will toss more than 4,000 yards and 35 TDs if he starts. That'd be pretty damn good, man. That'd be
That'd be awesome.
pretty damn good.
And
No shit.
maybe maybe Mike Tomlin doesn't feel like he has to prove something because they took Najee in the first round. Maybe now they can say, hey, you know what? That was a failure. We're gonna step away from that, and we need to come at this game with a whole new kind of look. I'm just saying that. Sorry, I keep getting phone calls. I got to turn that thing off. But
That's all
I felt like maybe Tomlin was trying to prove something with Najee, and now that he's gone, maybe that'll
right.
change that.
We'll see. Definitely, Devin Burkett, what's up, man? Definitely need to get the trenches sorted out. Whether we have a prime Roethlisberger or Kirko Chains, we need a solid O line to keep the ball, get the ball to GP and DK. Definitely, no doubt. Sleeping Lady, I hope we keep GP, but still think we are trading it possibly. I noticed DK mentioned he got calls from other receivers, didn't mention GP, but Muth, CA3 did call. Makes me wonder now. Yeah, I don't read too much into that, like who welcomes people to the team. I think, some guys, I don't know. I mean, you might be able to. It's definitely interesting to hear who calls and who didn't, but I don't know how much stock I hold into it. But I'm kind of torn there with that, man. I'm kind of torn. Tom Wishaw, no old quarterback, bringing new young talent in the year's draft. Absolutely. I think you just keep getting younger and try to fix it, man. The Steelers have been trying to band-aid this thing for too fucking long. Oh, excuse my French in case any of my kids are watching. Sorry. Probably isn't the first time you heard me cuss, but I don't say the F bomb around you guys. Mark Malone, plus being able to hit slants, drag shorts will make a difference. Absolutely, man. No doubt. Daniel Warman, I have a feeling Rodgers is going to retire. I think that might be a possibility, man. Do you think,
It
Sean,
should.
taking this long, do you think that that's a real possibility? Because I don't really think this is a difficult decision, man. I really don't.
I don't either. And honestly, if he was smart, he would. Why go out there and put your legacy at risk? You know, he had a great career in the NFL. He could retire today and still be considered as a Hall of Famer, a future Hall of Famer. Why go out there and just show how old you're getting and how slow you've become, and even being more injury prone? You can see it in his face. These ayahuasca trips and him walking on the beaches. He kind of showing me already. He's ready for that retirement. Just go for it, bro. Cross that bridge. You're already there.
Go to the light. Go to the light. Go, Aaron. Go to the
Exactly.
light.
Get it.
Oh,
Just get
my
it, bro.
God, dude. It just amazes me, man. I just don't understand why anybody would want this guy on your team. I just think he brings a media circus. He had everything he wanted in New York, was not able to get it done. The defense was really, really good and like at portions, but they were like non existent. But I get that. So I'll give him that. I felt like they had their moments. It was just, man, I just don't get a guy that only won 5 games there, why anybody would be excited about getting him and what makes them think it would be anything different. What would you offer Aaron Rodgers in terms if he did want to come? And what kind of a timeline would you give him to join your football team if you were going to offer him?
I would have given him 48 hours. Like, if we don't hear back from you in 48 hours, we're moving on. And don't even try to reach out to us after 48 hours because that's your window. And I would have been
Yeah.
firm on that.
What kind of money would you have paid him?
I wouldn't give him like no $100 million. That's for damn sure. You know what? $20 million, 1 year.
I agree. I think that's fair. I would do that. If Aaron Rodgers would say 20 million, let's do it. Let's run it 1 year. If we do really well and win, and I got enough gas in the tank, maybe we'll talk about another year, 20 million. But literally, 20 million. You put as many weapons around me as possible. I'll come in there and I'll give you everything I got. Let Mason be my backup in case I get injured. I'll work really well with him, and let's take a young guy in the draft. I'll tutor these guys. Let's make a real run at this thing, guys. If he said that to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'd be down, dude. I would be like, okay, bro, let's run this shit. Let's see what we can get done. But honestly, Sean, I wouldn't allow this to go on any longer. And I would be like that too. I would say, look, dude, you got 24 to 48 hours. And if you don't make a phone call to us by then, we're not answering the phone for you, just to let
Right.
you know. We're
Yep.
not picking it up, regardless of who's on our roster. I don't give a shit. I don't care if we got to go bring somebody out of retirement, like Peyton Manning or somebody that can barely walk at this point. Like, I would not entertain bringing you in. I'd rather have Ben Roethlisberger at age 43 that's been out of the league for 3 years, 2 years. Honestly, I mean, come on. It just gets to the point like it's just too much. Tom Ford in the house. I doubt the Steelers would offer Rodgers nearly as much as the Giants. I don't think so either, Tom. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, rumor has it, Sean, 2 years, 90 million. And I believe he wants a lot of that guaranteed. If that rumor to be true, where are you doing that? That's a
No
lot.
way. Yeah, no way. No way. I'm thinking more into the future and something that you can develop. And like I said, if you want to come in for 1 year and try to cement something and make something of yourself with a great team with lots of offensive weapons for one of the most storied franchises in the NFL, then by golly, you're going to show some interest right now over the phone with me and then have a decision made within 48 hours, or we're turning the page in your history, bro.
Yeah,
Go
forget
go
it.
play for New York. Go to Minnesota. I don't care.
Do you think, honestly, if you're Aaron Rodgers, why would you want to go play for New York? They don't even have a fucking team there, Sean, that's any good. Now, the other team on the block is rumored to be the Minnesota Vikings. And if you're the Vikings, why are you looking to go backwards when you have JJ McCarthy? Didn't you draft him to be the fucking guy? Let him be the guy.
Yep, there they go, shooting another quarterback's morale system down. You bring him in, he's thinking, all right, I got myself a job. I'm going to go out there and do this. And then the next thing you know, oh, we're bringing in Aaron Rodgers. You're going to sit. That's going to piss him off. That's going to make somebody have a little bit of bad taste in their mouth. Do you want that playing for you? No.
Hell no. I just think he brings too much of a circus. Now, shifting gears off of one old man moving to the next, which he isn't as old as Aaron Rodgers is, but I don't think he's as good as Aaron Rodgers either, sadly. That's Russell Wilson, a guy that rumored to be button heads with Arthur Smith. Do you think it's a tough sale for Steelers fans, Steelers players, coaching staff, franchise as a whole, to bring back Russell Wilson if that's the case?
I'm not sold on Russell Wilson. I liked him for a minute. I've never really been a big, huge fan of him, but he was out of what we had last year. I wanted to see him play because of his experience. But at this point, I prefer that they move on from Russell Wilson. I'm not a fan of the moon ball. I feel like that's just kind of putting too much onto the receiver to go make something happen. When really the quarterback needs to go through the reads and find the open receiver, not throw it up and cross your fingers. Here we go. Let's hope. And then, oh, of course, he's overthrown him by 10 yards or underthrown him. No, I'm not a fan of it. We got to roll with somebody else. I would choose Mason Rudolph over Russell Wilson, even if we still had Russell Wilson. He came back. Let's give him the shot. He showed he has what it takes to be that pocket passer that we want. He looked more confident in the pocket also than what I saw from Wilson last year. What Russell had, like, he was dancing on his toes. He wasn't standing tall. Like I just not a big fan of what he brought to the table. I'm not, you guys.
So here's the thing, my friend. A Newsweek article that was published March 15th, 2025 at 3:36 p.m., roughly Eastern Standard Time, roughly around 3 hours ago. The Aaron Rodgers situation, it's talking about that. And the headline reads, Sean, Aaron Rodgers would reportedly rather retire than sign with Steelers or the Giants.
Bye, Felicia. Nice seeing you retire, bro. Because I don't like this media hype. I don't like all this talk. It's time to retire. God, sometimes these guys just have a hard time acknowledging that fact. But if you go out there, let's just say he signs with the Steelers, he comes out and he stinks it up. What's that going to say about his legacy? Retire while you're still on top. Just
The
go.
Steelers got to go save face here. You're allowing this old geriatric asshole, condescending asshole that doesn't even talk to his own family, if in case anybody here didn't know that. He doesn't even communicate with his own family because he's that big of an asshole that basically is spitting in the face of your franchise. I would call that son of a bitch and say, listen, dude, thanks, but no thanks.
Yep.
Click and be done with it. He's reportedly waiting on the Minnesota Vikings to get clarity of that situation. And if you are playing second fiddle to the fucking Vikings, please, sorry.
Yeah. Give me a break. But you know what? Like you say, let them know that ship has sailed. You can stay there at the port. We're sailing out of here.
So as long as the Vikings seem like a possibility, he's gonna not do anything. He's just gonna keep the Giants and the Steelers on the hook. Is basically what this article is saying. So I have zero interest in Aaron Rodgers, man. Uh, it's crazy. There's also too, Sean, around June 1st. There's June 1st designations and shit like that. A guy like Derek Carr may be available at that point. There may be other options. I just think, honestly, quit playing this game, build this roster, and go after it. It's just making me crazy, man. I'm sick of talking about it.
Go to the draft. They got to go to the draft, man. We got
No
Mason.
doubt.
Find somebody in the draft.
No doubt. Lindsay says, why do the Steelers have to have drama at one or more position every offseason? They just can't get it together. I agree, Lindsay. It does seem like that's every team, Sean. Every team has that type of drama. But I get exactly what Lindsay said. It's never easy, man. It's never seamless, and it is troublesome, no doubt about that. Well, we're going to wrap it up, guys. We've been going for almost 70 minutes, so I appreciate you all joining me. It's been a dramatic time getting on here. Cut my finger before the show. My kid wasn't feeling good. Yeah, it's been trouble. So, thank you, Sean. Appreciate you, my friend.
Dude, thanks for having me come on. I always love coming on your show, bro. It's always so much fun to talk football with you and the community you've built here. I love it, man. It's always a good time. Thank you so much, bro.
Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure, man. Definitely. And thank you all for joining us. And as usual, man, If you didn't hit the like button yet, make sure you smash that son of a bitch on the way out. Punch it in the face. We truly appreciate that. Again, thank you to all the viewers. We truly, truly are humbled by all your support each and every day. So thank you, my friends. And we'll see. Probably be back Monday unless something happens that's newsworthy tomorrow. So we'll see you, man. Thanks again, Sean, and see you all Monday. Peace.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
See you, brother.